For nearly 30 years, Margaret worked inside the little diner on Maple Street. She greeted every customer with warmth, remembered their names, and somehow made strangers feel less alone the moment they walked through the door. Kyle often visited the diner after long, exhausting workdays. He rarely talked much, but Margaret always noticed when he seemed tired, worried, or carrying burdens he never spoke aloud to anyone else. Sometimes Margaret quietly placed an extra slice of pie beside his coffee without charging him for it. But strangely, Kyle barely remembered the free food later. What stayed with him was how deeply cared for she made him feel. That same evening, a young mother named Sophie entered the diner with her little boy after their car broke down several miles from home in the freezing winter weather.
Come in, get you warm.
The little boy's hands were shaking from the cold, and Sophie looked embarrassed because she clearly did not have enough money for a proper meal while waiting for roadside assistance to arrive. Margaret never mentioned money even once. Instead, she brought Noah a cup of hot chocolate with extra whipped cream and spoke to him so gently that the frightened little boy finally began smiling again. For Noah, that warm drink probably seemed like a small moment. But years later, he would still remember the elderly waitress who made him feel safe during one of the coldest nights of his childhood. Kyle watched the entire interaction silently. He realized Margaret had a rare gift many people never develop: the ability to make struggling strangers feel respected instead of pitied during difficult moments. She brought them hot soup and fresh bread without making the young mother feel ashamed. Margaret understood that kindness becomes truly powerful when it protects another person's dignity at the same time. Sophie tried holding back tears while thanking Margaret repeatedly. Life had been difficult for months, and she admitted she could not remember the last time someone treated her with such genuine patience and warmth. Margaret simply smiled and returned to work as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But the truth was, small acts of compassion often become unforgettable chapters in another person's life story. Before leaving, Kyle asked Margaret why she always treated people with such extraordinary kindness. The elderly waitress paused before giving an answer he would never forget. She told Kyle that people rarely remember every dollar spent on them or every object they received, but they always remember how another human being made them feel during difficult moments. The words settled deeply into Kyle's heart. Suddenly he understood why the little diner felt different from every other restaurant in town. Margaret was not only serving meals, she was serving comfort to weary souls. Several months later, Kyle returned to the diner after being away for work. The snow had disappeared, spring flowers now lined Maple Street, and the little restaurant looked brighter than he remembered. Margaret retired. She won't be back.
Retired, I tired. The place is serving the community.
And the diner no longer felt quite the same without her presence. As Kyle sat quietly in the familiar booth, he realized something powerful. He could barely remember specific meals from the diner over the years, but he remembered exactly how Margaret made people feel every single time. Long after possessions disappear and memories fade, kindness continues living quietly inside the hearts of people whose lives were softened by compassion at exactly the moment they needed it most. People may eventually forget what you gave them, the favors you did, or the money you spent, but they will never forget the warmth, dignity, and comfort you made them feel when life became difficult.